Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the podcast. Today's episode, Wiglett. I'm your host, Draco, and joining me today is SonRyu.
Hello.
And Guren.
Hello.
And we're going to review the reveal of Wiglett, the Pokemon that looks like Diglett, but not Diglett. First off, after watching the video, we've noticed that they were alluding to how closely Wiglett and Diglett look alike. And there's been a lot of controversy with this particular Pokemon, simply because a lot of people are calling Game Freak lazy because they really just took Wiglett and then stretched him out and colored him differently. Granted, yes, this is what it definitely looks like, and I would agree that yes, was a very simple design. However, I also think that people need to give Game Freak a little more credit for at least trying to think a little deeper when it comes into the lore of their Pokemon, because for starters, the category that this Pokemon falls into is the garden eel Pokemon, which anybody who's ever been to an aquarium and has gotten a chance to see, they look like little snakes coming up from the ground, just the way the Diglett just how the Wiglett stretches up and out of the hole itself. Even the coloration is very similar. They're usually white, although there's I've seen some in orange that look like clownfish, so I would expect to see the shiny to be an orange color.
Oh, that'd be sick.
They're a water type Pokemon, so there were people like Lumiose Post who had taken to talking about the fact that you may have mimicry or convergence or divergent evolutions, where convergent evolutions is where two species look to be similar. Divergent evolution is where you had a parent species and the two forms split to become two unique organisms, although they share very similar characteristics because they come from the same parentage. So similar to how primates and humans are similar in many, many ways, they both came from the same parent species. And then there's my take on it, which is mimicry, where they look like a different species to help deter predators or predator species from going after them. In this case, the king and the coral snake. They both have very similar colors so that they look like each other. However, one is a venomous species, the other one is not. It's totally harmless, but you can't tell them apart at a glance unless you know what you're looking for. In this case, Diglett is a ground type, which is immune to electric. Wiglett is a water type, which is weak to electric. So the fact that Wiglett and Diglett look similar might be an argument for mimicry. This would deter predator electric species from trying to attack Wiglett, thinking that they may be Digletts.
Okay.
Yep.
I see it. Okay.
This is kind of where I'm kind of leaning towards. Like, I like Wiglett. I think it's an interesting and honestly a novel idea as far as Pokemon creation goes. I can totally get why people are upset or why this is such a divisive Pokemon based on just the stylings. But if you look into the further meaning of it, it kind of makes more sense, and I can give them a little latitude for it.
I actually like it.
You like it?
Yeah. It's simple, but like a different Pokemon design too. Not like complicated than it should be. Because it's a new species. It's not the same, so.
I think I'm gonna have to agree too with you as well, because it is a new species. I know a lot of Poketubers are talking about like how it's kind of lazy. It's not like, Game Freak's running out of ideas kind of thing. I kind of want to say that's kind of unfair to say that as well, because it's like what you said, Draco. It is a real thing in like, in the world, like, a divergent.
Yeah, it's a garden eel, which I didn't even know what that was.
And it's a garden eel. So it's like you can't really like fault them for that, And yes, I'm gonna have to agree as well. Like, the Pokemon is a little bit cute. I was actually thinking when I first saw it, like, I do think it's pretty adorable too. The fact that it's a water type actually blew my mind. I was actually thinking it was going to be water ground and not just straight up water. So I'm actually kind of glad that this is a straight water type Pokemon. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping to see more of stuff like this because, like, no, I don't think it's lazy. I think it's, unique in its own way. It is the very first officially revealed of its kind, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And yeah, I can't wait to see more of these guys.
I mean, look at the Alolan Diglett. It's about the same, right? Just different typing.
This is where it would be considered a divergent evolution because Diglett is ground and Alolan Diglett is ground steel. They look similar, but they have different traits. The regional variants are more of a divergent evolution. In this case, you could consider this one a convergent evolution or a mimicry. But again, it all depends on how you want to look at it. Both labels would apply in this case because of how they work. Because let's just take this a step further. Alolan Diglett has Tangle Hair, and that ability is whenever it is hit by a physical attack, it will cause the attacker to lose a stage in speed. Gooey does the exact same thing, and Gooey is one of the abilities that Wiglett has.
Oh.
Yeah, which is good. What about Rattle?
Rattled in itself is an ability that will cause the Pokemon to get one stage in speed if it detects a dark, ghost, or bug type move, or if it's intimidated. So you would lose a stage in physical attack, but then you would gain the one stage in speed. This it makes me wonder what the evolution to this would be, because Rattled it's a very specific ability, and it makes me wonder why it's getting that particular ability. Is it because if you rattle eels, if you rattle the garden eels, do they slink back into their hole, or is it because it's gonna lead into its evolution that would want to know about any of those three types of moves?
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna evolve into something very change the ability.
It could also do that, yeah. I mean, it could also do an ability change as it evolves up. That's actually a really good idea.
I do love how that it can, like, from 60 feet it can pick up like sense. So
Yeah, which would actually lead to the rattled ability. It would work with it, because if it's smelling a ghost type, a dark type, or a bug type, it's automatically going to just whoop.
I think it would mostly hide.
I could actually see this Pokemon getting moves that would bolster its defense as well. I would say probably something that would bolster special defense primarily. But it's a pure water type. It's got Gooey, it's got Rattled. I mean, overall, designs aside, I think this is an actually cool Pokemon as far as ability goes, because the only ones that get it is Goomy, Sliggoo, and Goodra. Seeing another Pokemon actually getting that ability is kind of cool. But it also reminds me of I think it's called the Hagfish. Here's my thought. What if the evolution to Wiglett is a hagfish derivative? The hagfish has a defense mechanism where it produces a slime. So when a fish or some kind of predator tries to bite it, it just starts secreting this slime out of its body. And it's designed to do two things. Number one, it tastes terrible to the fish. So they taste it, they let it go. However, if in chance the fish has already got its teeth sunk deep into it, the goo also starts flooding into the throat, into the mouth, into the gills, suffocating the predator. So it is a defensive, offensive type of ability that this particular sea creature has. Imagine if Gooey leads into something like that for an evolution of Wiglett.
Oh my god, I don't ever want to encounter this creature. I do wonder though, like, is it still going to keep the motif then of it, like, looking like it's still coming out of the ground though? Like when it evolves, like that's what I wanted. I also would not be surprised if they kept Wiglett as a single state, or as a, non-evolution, whatever.
Oh, it's a single.
Yeah, like it just stays as is. I think I could also see that happening as well.
Well, we'll see. Who knows? It's hard to say. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna have an evolution. So
That actually, I wasn't even expecting to come up with that one.
Oh,
Go me.
Hagfish?
Yeah.
I'm curious how will it look in the water though.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, they're both kind of worm-like. So seeing something like that you'd go from evolving, sticking out of the ground, to something that's no longer in the ground, that's just kind of swimming in its own thing.
Yeah, like a serpent, or like, yeah.
Overall, I see a lot of potential with this particular Pokemon as far as evolution goes, and I would not be surprised if the evolution of Wiglett is something completely different, looks a lot like Barraskewda or Arascuda, because there's a Barracuda Pokemon. I could see something similar to that.
I'm just like more excited to see what kind of battle potential it will have, especially since it has its abilities Gooey and Rattle, like from what you're saying. Having physical contact with it will lower your speed, or getting hit by those certain type of moves that raises its speed. So I'm hoping it's gonna be like a decently fast Pokemon already right off the bat. So
Well, I don't know if you guys want to try to guess like the main stats will be. I say it's either gonna be main speed for sure, and then it's either gonna be special attack or physical attacker.
I'm thinking this is going to be I think the speed is a given because just the moves alone. I think it being a fast Pokemon is just an absolute given. But I'm actually thinking that this is going to be more physical resistant Pokemon. So it'll be fast and physically tough. Not so much as special though.
Okay.
Yeah,
I could see it too. I think.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be particularly strong. I don't think its special defense is going to be anything to write home about. But I can definitely see it being fast, and I can definitely see this being defensively tough.
I mean, it'll be strong for its first evolution.
Let's hope we can encounter the Pokemon pretty early too, maybe, you know?
Yeah, this doesn't look like it's very far from the starting area.
No.
Okay, that's good to know.
I mean, well, if you recall, when they do the maps, usually wherever you can swim, once you get to a certain part where you can't go any further, they change the color of the water. This looks like a very solid piece of water, which probably tells me that you're only going to be able to hit the coastline roughly where the surf meets the land, and that's about as far as you're going to go on this particular part of it. And I think if you look at the southern part of the map, it's got a very tight waterline as opposed to the higher parts of the map where you've got the water in the middle, you've got the water on the sides. It looks like you can surf around a little bit. Just as a last minute thought, as I tweeted the stuff out, someone threw at me a image of Electros, and I want to thank that person, Ononoke, and it got me thinking. So what if what we have here is a Pokemon that is pretending to be things to entice back and forth? Hear me out. We have Wiglett, who looks like Diglett, to deter electric types because water types are weak against electric types. Diglett is immune to electric types. So in looking like Diglett, you now have a defense mechanism. But it evolves. Let's say it evolves. And I think it might evolve into a hagfish. What if in the evolution it looks similar to Electros? What is Electros? An electric type. What is the only weakness to electric types? Ground types. What is ground weak to? Water types. So we go from a standpoint of being prey into being a predator, so to speak. What do you guys think about that real quick?
Yeah, no, I actually like the idea from being afraid to predator because that way, like, people think like they can just take advantage of it because of how it is.
Yeah, I think that's like a good how the tables have turned kind of thing, you know, like it's like you thought, but too bad, I'm still a water type. I will get you, you know.
Exactly. It's kind of like luring in ground types. Oh, look, I'm an electric type. I am weak to ground. Oh, you're a ground type? Cool. Water attack. You're done.
Yeah, it's like, I hate to rain on your parade, but you're grounded.
But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this would actually be very next level thinking of Game Freak. And I know, once again, they're probably going to get a lot of hate for recycling a look or an appearance. But, I mean, if you think about it in terms of nature, it would work. It would, honestly, I think, work.
Shout out to my mod, Lorantis.
Right? Lorantis is a great example of that, but I mean, seriously, it hit me as this person made the mention of it, and I'm like, oh, that is good. That is too good. Well, that's it for this episode. What are your thoughts about Wiglett? Do you guys feel the same way about the designs? What about its typing or its abilities? What do you think it might evolve into, or will it evolve at all? Will it just be a single stage Pokemon? Let us know in the comments below. Also, be sure to share, like, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see in the future. And as always, have an awesome day. Bye.
Bye.